So, cults. Why did I kind of like postpone and like stretch it out a little bit? Because there's one thing about a cult that is way more, I mean, kind of more different than religions, but genuinely, let's get to it. I love how politically correct and sensitive ChatGPT is regarding writing out these bits. It's very adorable, but truthfully, some of these beliefs are quite. So here we go. Here's a list of some known cults from various parts of the world. So please note that the term cult can be subjective and controversial, and it's important to approach this list with sensitivity and understanding that not all groups classified as cults are necessarily harmful or dangerous. Some of these groups have been associated with controversial or criminal activities. This list is not exhaustive, but it provides an overview of notable cults. So cults. That's ChatGPT being nice about it. Truthfully, when it comes to cults, I have in my life been. I had people trying to get me into stuff. I was stubborn enough to just like check it out and be like, oh no, I'm good. Because with cults, the one thing that is very notable and very obvious when it gets to that is that the people who are already in the cult, if those are like, the very toxic type of cults, they like to genuinely single out the person. So they have the tendency of psychologically, like, because they prey on people genuinely. If they're like the harmful type of those, is that they like to find people who are like vulnerable, and they pry on that vulnerability, as they tend to be like, oh, you're feeling bad, you're having this and this go wrong with your life, we can help you with it, and some cults, they kind of like honeypot you into this stuff. They kind of like use, their words are honey, they're kind of like approach to you is honey. They kind of try to give you things at first and kind of like butter you in. But the more they butter you in, and they're trying to give you something, the more you kind of like see how things ain't right. As some cults, they have the tendency to just kind of like get you to believe them more, pressure you into like coming in, to their like masses, or events, or these like evenings where they have stuff going on, and they ask you to like participate, which is quite interesting. And it's kind of weird how if you are interested, there's series on Netflix called In the Name of God, which covers some of the most atrocious, in my humble opinion, cults in South Korea, some of which still are active, which discombobulates the living out of me. As some of these cults, they circulate around a person. So there's a person who they glorify, who they idolize, and this person is the one calling the shots. So there's cults where people would rather, like, there were cases in America where they would literally choose a mass suicide over, like, solution of something, instead of like getting stuff, out of it, or getting stuff done. There's also situations where cults make you donate everything you have, when they kind of like pry on your sensitivity and your vulnerability to the point of making you believe that your friends and your family are bad, and they pull you away from whomever you had who was close to you, by trying to kind of like get in your head and paint and taint everybody you loved into these like absolutely atrocious things, even if that's not the case. Because some of your closest people, if you have those, which is great, they're trying to help you. If you have those, if not, well, being being a loner is kind of tough. That I know on my personal experiences. And that's basically the points where these cults or these kind of like belief systems, religions, whatever, they try to approach you. They especially see kind of like vulnerable. They kind of like they have a kind of like a nose for it. So they try to butter you up. They try to kind of like paint you. Oh yeah, but like your family is so come to us. Or now we need resources. We need donations. We need money. We need food. We need this. We need that. We need you to work for our community. And then suddenly it's kind of like if you don't realize it from the start that it's like very toxic, you know, and that they're kind of like highly starting to monitor you, kind of like write you, call you all the time, you know, ask you how you're feeling, ask you how about your day, where did you go, what did you do, who did you see. It's weird. It's kind of like highly obsessive relationship where you're like this is toxic. So some of the cults, they tend to do that, and they tend to just be like, hey, kind of like butter you in, but kind of like, you know, bear trap you inside of it, so you have no way out. But some of these, they do have a way out. And as long as you realize that there is a way out, and that whatever they're trying to push onto you to believe in is not right, or genuinely it's not like the sole thing to believe in, as long as that realization hits, you can get out of it. I mean, some people have lived in cults for years. Some of the cults are the nastiest out there. There's like, I mean, even some of the friends that I know, they've been a part of Mormon stuff, and some of them are fine, some of them are not happy. And things I got to know about it, not so great. Absolutely not so great. And that's why a lot of people did their best to leave it, and they left it. And they just like found themselves in other things altogether. But yeah, cults. So there's People's Temple. So one of the most infamous cults in history was People's Temple, led by Jim Jones, and ended in tragedy when over 900 members, including children, died in a mass murder-suicide in Jonestown. Wielded tremendous control over his followers, and the cult's demise was a shocking event. So there's also Heaven's Gate in US. Believed that Earth was about to be recycled and that salvation could be achieved by leaving their physical bodies behind. In 1997, 39 members committed mass suicide and believed that they would be transported to a higher plane of existence. Om Shinrikyo. That's still one of the craziest. Go watch a document. Just watch a documentary. It's also highly crazy story behind it. And the leader is Shoko Asahara. And the Om Shinrikyo was a doomsday cult that carried out the deadly sarin gas attack in the Tokyo subway in 1995, killing 13 people and injuring thousands. The cult's leader, Shoko Asahara, believed he was the Christ and expounded a mix of apocalyptic beliefs and yoga. So the one thing, it's all horrible, but the one thing you find about a cult is that the leaders tend to be very charming, they know how to speak to you, they're like very, kind of like, they know how to make you say yes. They're kind of like, it's kind of like such a charm, but at the same time, it's the most psychotic thing ever in your life, because these people, for most part, in my humble opinion, are psychopaths. Because there's no other way to explain it, because there's, you know, like, yeah. So there's an Order of the Solar Temple. Switzerland, Canada, France. The Order of the Solar Temple is known for a series of mass suicides and murders in the 90s and 2000s. The cult combined elements of Christianity, New Age beliefs, the UFO spirituality, believing that death would allow members to reach a higher plane. Branch Davidans were an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1993. A standoff between the group and the law enforcement ended in tragic fire at their compound in Waco, Texas, resulting in deaths of 76 people, including many children. Movement of the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God. You can't. believed in strict adherence to 10 commandments. In 2000, a devastating fire at their compound killed over 300 members. Investigations revealed signs of mass murder and suicide. Manson family. Led by Charles Manson, this cult was responsible for a series of brutal murders in 1969, including mass murder of actress Sharon Tate. Manson manipulated his followers into committing these heinous acts. Realism movement is a UFO religion founded by Claude Vorillion, who claimed to have had contact with extraterrestrial beings. The movement promotes world peace and claims that advanced extraterrestrials created humanity. So, Children of God. Movement founded in the 60s had controversial practices, including the use of flirty fishing, sexual exploitation to recruit new members. The group has undergone several transformation and name changes. The Ant Hill Kids led a cult in which he subjected his followers to extreme physical and psychological abuse. The cult was involved in acts of violence, including murder and dismemberment. People's Liberation Army predicted that the world would end in 1999. Thousands of followers believed the prophecy and gathered in anticipation when the world did not end. The group faced public scrutiny and faded into obscurity. Oh yeah, hello. Russian Orthodox Church. In 2000, members of this cult, led by Pyotr Kuznetsov, barricaded themselves in a cave in Russia's Penza region, waiting for the apocalypse. They believed that after the end of the world, they would be the only survivors and would meet with Jesus. True Russian Orthodox Church. Some crazy people. Movement of the Restoration of 10 Commandments of God. There we go again. Nubian Nation. Founded in the 70s, a cult blended elements of black nationalism, ancient Egyptian mythology, UFO beliefs. Leader Dwight York was convinced of numerous crimes, including child molestation. The Brethren, also known as garbage eaters, was a cult that advocated living off the grid and avoiding social norms. The group's leader had strict control over his members' lives. So the one thing you can see over and over again is that the cult leaders have this very overly controlling side to the members. There's a lot of things with sexual exploitation, abuse, sexual, psychological, physical abuse, financial abuse, and the list goes on. So some of these are so absolutely insane that when you get to see it, some are very old, they do not exist anymore. Thank God for that. Or whatever you believe in. You know? But yeah, some things still exist and it's horrible. So yeah, cults. So here we checked out the religions that are all popular, lesser known, and cults. What did we get out of it? Some places claim to be religions but have a front of being empathetic, very helpful, and with all the greatness they do to the world, they sort of follow the pattern of exploitation of believers through many interesting abusive heinous means necessary. Therefore, when you seek something to believe in or some community you wish to be a part of, be aware of those that talk sweet and are overly nice. Seek out the reviews and the online communities that encounter these religious beliefs and clubs. But there is a thing or two I have come across when I've set out on a spiritual journey. So here I'll show you what I found in the belief pool, which is, in my humble opinion, seems more cute and has some common sense in it. So let's get into spirituality.